I've been thinking for a while about what classic Doctor Who story to review, and I planned on doing Genesis of the Daleks, one of the most iconic stories of all time, with the best rendition of Davros and Tom Baker at his best in my opinion. However, I decided I wanted to review a story that's a little more divisive, and no classic story is more divisive than the TV movie in my opinion. When it comes to this movie, I believe there are two different groups. Group 1 are the people who see this movie as nothing more than a failed experiment with corny acting, a ridiculous plot, and a style that feels too American for a British science fiction show. And the other group is the one that I'm on, that sees this movie as an extension of the classic series with a bigger budget. But let's take a look at this movie and see if I can see why the other group feel the way they do about this piece of television history. The film opens with a narration given by the future Doctor, played by Paul McGann, who tells us that the Master was being put on trial by the Daleks, which immediately sets off people's nerd sense, as the Daleks aren't really known for democracy.
All inferior creatures are to be considered the enemy of the Daleks and destroyed.
No, wait! Those men are scientists. They can help you. Let them live. Have pity.
Pity? I have no understanding of the word. It is not registered in my vocabulary bank. Exterminate!
To be honest, it would have made a lot more sense if the Time Lords were the ones putting the Master on trial, but whatever. I guess they really wanted an off-screen Dalek cameo where they sounded like gargling chipmunks. This exposition transitions very cleverly into what is in my opinion the best title sequence in Doctor Who history, with the added orchestra giving it a very cinematic feel. We are then transported inside the TARDIS where the Doctor, played by Sylvester McCoy, or as he's referred to in the credits, the Old Doctor, is securing the Master's remains before relaxing in his chair. Inside the best TARDIS console room, don't at me. You can see how I rank all the TARDIS console rooms in my ranking video, which I will link in the description below. Anyways, the Master's, juice escapes, causing the TARDIS to crash land in San Francisco, where the Doctor gets shot down by a gang and taken into hospital by one of the members, named Chang Li, played by Yi Ji Tasso, whose name I probably didn't pronounce correctly, but what are you going to do about it? This introduces us to Grace Holloway, played by Daphne Ashbrook, a Doctor who operates on the 7th Doctor, however fails to save him, causing his regeneration into the 8th Doctor in a Frankenstein-esque scene. Meanwhile, the Master's snake juice escapes and possesses a policeman, played by Eric Roberts. Now, let me pause for a second, because this is one of the elements of this movie I was never able to grasp. I mean, sure, we've seen the Master seal bodies and reincarnate, if you like, but both before and after this, he was never depicted as animalistic, and as such he feels more like a character like Venom, who latches onto a host rather than a decaying Time Lord. With that said though, I do really enjoy Eric Roberts' performance in the movie. One of the most common complaints I see is that he doesn't feel like the Master's featured in the classic era, and to be honest, they're not entirely wrong. However, that's what I love about him, as I feel the mustache-twirling villain routine, pioneered by Roger Delgado and continued by Anthony Ainley, was beginning to become stale, so I welcome this radically different take, and I never understood why the argument that this was too silly. I mean, is this...
I always dress for the occasions.
much more silly than this?
End of the universe! Have fun! Bye-bye!
Anyway, to cut a long story short, the Master teams up with the selfish Chang Li in order to steal the Doctor's body, while the Doctor and Grace attempt to retrieve a special clock to repair the TARDIS and stop it from sucking up the Earth through the Eye of Harmony, by launching the TARDIS into a temporal orbit. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the plot becomes a bit difficult to follow towards the end. It is through these exchanges that we learn that in this iteration the Doctor is half human. I say in this iteration because this piece of lore was quickly brushed under the rug after the pilot. Another thing this movie introduced was the romantic relationship between Doctor and companion, something that was seen as blasphemous at the time but nowadays doesn't feel very out of place, what with the Doctor kissing women as often as he uses his sonic in the modern era. In fact, I would argue that Grace is the template for a modern companion, being intelligent, independent, and a little bit sassy, characteristics that describe 99% of the female companions in New Who. You may have noticed throughout this review that I haven't mentioned the lead, and that's because I don't really know what to say. I feel like I've covered most of it. So I'm going to link my video defending him in the description, but let's just say, to keep this segment from feeling underwhelming, I love him, and he gives a great performance. The next thing I want to talk about is the ending, specifically the way Chang Li and Grace die. To recap, during the final confrontation with the Master, Chang Li got his neck snapped, and Grace fell from the regeneration transfer device, I guess. After which the Eye of Harmony vomits yellow glitter and revives the two companions. Don't ask me why this happens, I couldn't tell you. I mean, I know the TARDIS is sentient, but it's not a miracle worker. I mean, if the TARDIS can just revive companions, then why not revive Adric, River, or any other companion that's met their demise in the show? Overall, I know I've been pretty harsh on the TV movie, but I genuinely do love it unconditionally, due to its unique style, fantastic Doctor, beautiful set design, and a great music in my opinion. Although, with that said, I do understand why people see it as a bizarre mishmash of British and American culture. So I guess the message for this review is, no one's opinion's right except mine.